Hello, I'm Anna McCarrow. This is my Magical People series, and today I'm here with Inbaal. Inbaal, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Anna, and hi, everyone
Hello.
watching. Hi, my name is Inbaal. I'm here as Anna's friend, but also as somebody that she knows who has been Wiccan for many years. I work with tarot cards, reading, teaching, and mentoring people through establishing their own tarot business or light worker business. I live in Yorkshire. I'm a mom of four, and that's that. Now you know everything you need to know.
That's everything. Yeah.
That's it. Now you've got all my angles. You can go for, in-depth detail now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So yes, we've known each other a long time because I um, took part in your tarot class in I want to say 2004,
I,
around that time.
I think it is 2004. Were you the class that finished on my 30th birthday?
Oh, I think we were actually, because I do remember your birthday now. Yes.
Yes, so yeah, that was definitely 2004.
Oh, yeah. God, what a lot that's it doesn't seem that long ago. But anyway, and that was such a great class. It was every Saturday for about I think 5 hours. We'd come along to Conway Hall in
Yeah.
London, and you taught us the tarot, and that was so good. And I mean, I've always loved the tarot, but I don't think I'd be half as I'm not a superstar, but I wouldn't be half as good as it without you. So
I
thank you
was
again for
well,
that.
I've always felt very privileged that people who were drawn to my tarot course were almost all people that could already read and were just looking to interact with it further, look at it from different directions, sort of find a different perspective. So a good proportion of people I taught, people that I explored with, have gone on to incorporating it in their work or in their daily lives, and it is immensely satisfying to see.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. That was me. I was using it beforehand, but that really took me up, quite a few steps after that. And
Thank
I've
you.
used it almost daily since. Okay, so could you tell me, Imbel, about your magical practice a bit? So perhaps what your overall beliefs are and what your overall practices, and then what it looks like day to day, maybe.
Absolutely. As I said, I am Wiccan, but what my spiritual leanings are, what my spiritual practice is what I kind of always have been. Since childhood, I've been a free thinker, a free spirit, and a champion for anyone left behind. And so you would think perhaps that being all about there is no fate but what we make for ourselves, or would maybe sort of lean itself more towards the Lima
Mm.
and into sort of running with my free spirit and not being bound by any specific rules. But I actually found the Lima and even chaos magic um, and the spiritual practices that sound more free, I found them to be very obviously male, very obviously created by people with Christian backgrounds, which I do not have,
Hmm.
and quite formulaic and not very me. It was only when I found Wiccan practice that I found a way of thinking that, to my mind, was a lot more open-minded, where you were able to, within its own very loose framework, you're able to create your own magic, your own devotion to whichever god or goddess was right for you, and your own magical practice. So I'm Wiccan-ish,
Hmm.
and then I'll do things kind of my own way. Like I said, my background is not Christian. I don't really understand a lot about Christian dogma. I come from a secular Jewish household in Israel where religion or spirituality never played a part.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a bunch of Holocaust survivors trying to put something together. God is not really a massive part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Getting up early in the morning and working is a massive part of it. And
Mm.
in a way, I feel like I'm kind of carrying it forward, because my spiritual practice is not really something I do. I feel that it's much more something I am.
Mm.
And even though I will have regular devotions to Athena, who's my main goddess, and sometimes to Freya, who's a very good one to be devoted to, I will do some spells here and there, some for me, a lot for friends. I feel like the getting up and doing my work as a tarot reader keeps me connected to the other side every day, because I'm
Mm.
a hashtag tarot every day person,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really take days off, like very rarely.
Mm.
So I'm never too far from a deck of tarot, and for me a deck of tarot is magic as well. It's got lots of gods and goddesses there. It's got star signs. It's got numbers. It's got the elements. It's got all the big players from the world of Wicca represented in paper form. And in a sense, I feel like by communicating that kind of magic to clients from, a rainbow of backgrounds and lived experiences, gets me to kind of convert people into into the magic,
Yeah.
and blend our world with their world. I'm very much about the Muggle outreach.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I know that you are, and you're very good at it as well.
You.
That's such a great intro to kind
Thank
of
you.
you and how it all fits together. So for people watching who maybe aren't sure what you mean when you say having devotions to gods and goddesses, what's that? What does that look like?
It's to say it in a way that would make sense to everyone, it's a little bit like prayer, but it's more like a kick-ass prayer. Bleep it if you must.
No bleeping.
So so for example, Athena has been, again, since childhood, a main goddess for me. So where I work, where my desktop is, for I still use a desktop and I love
Mm-hmm.
it,
Mm-hmm.
I have several symbols that represent Athena. I've got a little painting of her that was made by a friend. I've got a little old depiction of a Greek coin that had the Athena owl on it, and the house is full of owls.
Oh,
I'm
there's
not
no.
I'm not even joking, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty immersed in having Athena around me. Athena is a goddess of wisdom. She sprang from Zeus's head, and I think there's nothing more important, and in fact nothing more sexy, than having brains.
Mm.
Using your brain, using your mind for all sorts of things. Athena also bridges a gap that I was kind of a limiting belief that I was raised into. I was raised to believe that it was right to be either beautiful or clever.
Okay. Yeah.
And I kind of chose clever. Can you recognize that sort of very 70s
Oh
lie?
yeah. 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 Absolutely. I think I
Choose
thought
your
that for a
own.
long time. Yeah. Lots of people think that you can't have both. Look at us
And
proving that that's wrong.
you absolutely can, exactly. Because Athena was also one of the three goddesses from the Iliad, from the Judgment of Paris, who came to the Prince Paris to for him to decide which one of them was the most
Oh,
beautiful
that's right.
goddess in the
Yeah.
world. So
Mm.
she must have been in the top three at very least. The fact that this contest was finally decided by corruption is also a wonderful take on everything in this world, and how it's how it keeps going wrong and we try to pull it back right. But for me, Athena bridges that lie that that doesn't allow you to look nice and have a good brain. Athena is often depicted with a shield so she can look after herself. Is she? Now I'm really lost. Was she linked with anyone? Is she one of the virgin goddesses? I'm very confused now, but I would
She's
say
a
that
virgin
that
goddess, isn't she? Yeah, she's not one who has kind of dalliances,
doesn't have
romantic
a
ones.
consort. She doesn't have a consort. So yeah, let's just
Mm.
file her, a pending adjudication. Let's just file her as one of the virgin goddesses. So everything about Athena is not stuff that I am, it's stuff that I aspire to be. And so when I honor Athena by remembering her, by incorporating her into my decor, by sometimes raising a prayer to her, by sometimes devoting load of incense to her, is are all different ways of honoring her and having a devotion towards her in the way that a monotheistic person would be devoted to just one deity.
Mm-hmm.
As Wiccan, you kind of get to choose. It can be a bloke, it can be a lady, it can be one of many. Now, I've got to sort of rush it right back and say that in traditional Wicca, it would be Cernunnos and Aradia. I know it. It's all right. We've moved on from it. You want to stick with the old ones and you want to stick with your own framework. That is ace. I'm running with mine.
Yeah. I think that's what appeals to a lot of people about Wicca and pagan faiths, probably more generally, is partly that you can have that direct relationship with gods and goddesses in kind of your own way, do it in the way
Yeah,
that you is good for you, but partly, yeah, that you have that choice about who to connect with, and nowadays, certainly, I think probably, well,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I really agree with that. That it's on your own terms. I used to live next to a newsagent, and he explained to me why he is Hindu. And he said he had like a whole series of gods behind him. And he said, if you don't like this one, you go with this one. If you don't like this one, you go with this one. And for him, that was like a massive sell on the Hindu religions and
Mm.
traditions. And I could really get on board with that. I said to him, me too.
Yes, totally. It's so yeah, it's interesting because I think, like, when you've had this mindset for a while, like a polytheistic mindset, or potentially so, or that it's okay to be like that, I find it really surprising when other people are like, oh, that's a weird idea, like more than one, like, oh, any god at all, for lots of people, because lots of people are atheists these days, or agnostic,
Yeah.
or whatever, but also like, oh, more than one. How does that work? How strange. It seems really that kind of natural to me, and also it seems really natural to me for them to be goddesses as well, but which is another nice thing I've always felt about the pagan umbrella, is that it's quite feminist, and sort of empowering for women as well. Anyway, um, okay, so I was going to ask you, that was very fascinating. Thank you for explaining devotion as well. That was a really nice view into your practice as well. I was going to ask you about, because I remember you telling a really great story about how you got into tarot yourself, and which is when you were younger. Can you tell that story? You can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that story kind of goes with how I ended up with a Thoth deck, which is, again, another sort of gateway to Thelema, which was, never really a friend for me. But when I lived in Greece, I used to, I lost a job, and I thought that it would be very interesting to just go and sit in the town square and see if a job happened upon me to replace the job that I lost. And a girl went running past, and I thought, oh, this is Leanne. I know she's going back to Australia. I wonder if I could have her job. Leanne, can I? can I have your old jobs back? Are you going, can I have your old jobs? Are you going back to Australia? And she said, oh yes, let me introduce you to the shop job. And I was introduced to a lady who ran a shop, and just, you know, let me work. There were simpler times then. If I was no good, I would have just lost that job.
Yeah.
So I started working there, and every afternoon, the lady who ran the shop would make a coffee. Let's make a coffee and let's bring out the cards. And she used to read playing cards. I wonder if I reach behind me if I can find them. She used to read playing cards. Yes, I can. And showed me how to lay them. It's still my old playing cards
with
the
notes on.
instructions in, yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, with what they mean in Hebrew. Hers said what they mean in German. So I thought, well, you know, I'll copy that, and that's where I put like the little order of how you put them, 1, 2, 3. And we used to just read the cards. She said the first time, she said, oh, I can see a man with black hair overseas and he's thinking about you. Do you have a boyfriend? I said, no, it's probably my dad. And he rang. He rang just as we were talking.
Yeah.
So that was pretty sobering, because like I said, I'm from a very secular household and not, you know, not really open to spirituality by upbringing. And every once in a while, so I started sort of reading them. I think she had some cards that were photocopied from like the Greek Cosmo or something like that. And again, I photocopied her version of them. Is this the right one? No. I didn't think when I was getting ready that I would be pulling these out. I got them. No, we're not worried about that. But she used to have her cards, and then she would say, oh, I'm tired, I don't feel like doing the cards today. And I was like, oh, I'll do them. And I thought it was just one of those things, you know, you watch someone make a coffee enough times, you'll be all right at making coffee. See also omelette, see not also driving. So I thought it's somewhere there, more towards the coffee end of things,
Right. Okay.
than the driving end of things. It's really only when I started teaching that I realized it was much closer to the driving end of things. But I would read her cards, and then very, very rarely she would pull out a deck of tarot, which happened to be the Thoth deck, which has since and always has been my main deck. And she would say, I don't ask the tarot often, because the tarot I respect much. Right. But with the tarot, you just get immediate results. You get all the big information straight away. Although for daily practice, these were fabulous. They would just show us if somebody's gossiping about us, if somebody's about to propose to someone, the basics that you need for village life. Which it turned out just fine for me in the end. I didn't think I'd end up in a little village, but as life would have it, it works well now. So that's how I got started with the tarot. And it took a long time for me to understand that that wasn't a regular, ordinary beginning with the tarot. So it didn't start with a book or with a desire to know the future or with any, you know, any regular start.
Yeah. Wow. And look at you now. Look at you now.
I know, it's like funny.
It's so strange. But it's so strange that you sat in the square and you said, can my next job come along? And the universe was like, yeah, I'll give you a job for the next 30 years. You know, this is your thing now. Amazing.
That never occurred to me. I'm so sorry, Anna. That blew my mind completely. That never even occurred to me. But yes, that is true. That would have been 1994. So we're already 26 and a half years into that particular journey. Wow. But yeah, I've always had, again, for somebody sort of so secular, I've always had absolute faith that things turn out all right. Yeah. That, you know, I'll keep going. and the road will rise to meet me.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to relate that to, but that's just, that to me is kind of my normal way of thinking.
Yeah, but that's nice. And that segues in very well to what I was going to ask you, because I was going to say, what are your maxims for living life? So that sounds like one. Is there anything else?
It is. I don't know that I've ever followed like one specific path. There is no fate, but what we make for ourselves is tragically a sentence that I read in the Terminator book. The Terminator the movie had a little book afterwards that I
Yeah.
loved.
Oh.
And there's, I think it's the Terminator 2, it's T2.
Mm.
And there's a scene in the book that I don't think is depicted in the movie, that Sarah scratches. She's, you know, she's got all her knives and everything. She's ready for the apocalypse. And she scratches on a wooden table. There is no fate but what we make for ourselves. I was in high school when I read that, and that's something that's always followed me. Last year, when things were very, very hard and people were very, very judgy, I went with, we're all doing ours best. Locally where I am, people say us instead of our.
Right. Okay.
And it sounded so right to me to just be saying we're all doing ours best.
Right.
Yeah. We're all doing our best. So when somebody would get too close without a mask, you're thinking, we're all doing our best. That person is trying. When somebody's having a breakdown, when somebody's having a shouting match, we're all doing our best. But yeah, I think tragically, if I look back on it, no fate but what we make for ourselves was probably the most important sentence that carried me through, and that encouraged me to do things that were ridiculous, impossible, unthinkable, like quit jobs really often without anything coming along, call people out, whistle blow, put myself in places of potential risk, laugh in the face of the doctor that told me that I'm infertile, still laughing, and so on.
I think you won that one.
I won all of them.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
I'll give you it as a very simple example. My now 8, almost 9-year-old, when he was 4.5, he did not get into the same school as his sister. And I went for an appeal and I lost. So they were placed in 2 different schools. And it's me. I was not letting go. I was emailing everyone in the council every night. I managed to, he also developed complete mutism and never spoke a word for 6 months. So I went and pursued it from the talking to a psychologist angle. I spoke to everyone in the council, was remotely linked with schools, education. There is no fate but what we make for ourselves. At the same time, another child was in the exact same position in the school, and they were a little bit higher than us in the priorities list because they were nearer the school that we wanted to get to. He is now in year 4 in the school we wanted, and the other child is still not. Right. Because when I say that I believe, I really, really believe, and I can be terrifyingly unstoppable because I think, well, you know, this is what I want. And I'm very aware that from, you know, from the outside looking in, it can appear very selfish. Why do you think you deserve? I don't. I think we all deserve. And I think if you wanted it as badly as I wanted it and did the same, you'd have got the exact same results. I don't think I'm in a particularly privileged position, being an immigrant here and having no family contacts and no friends. It was in Yorkshire. We were quite new here. I feel that my belief that it'll go all right. I was also not leaving the house without my very special talisman. that was going with me everywhere at
Mm-hmm.
the time. I put it next to my bed as I slept, and it would go in my clothes the moment I woke up. So I was and doing magic and everything. I was putting everything to the direction that would get me the desired results. So yeah, I guess we'll just go with no fate by what we make for ourselves. Let's go with that
Well,
one.
I mean, firstly, you can have a lot of worse role models than Sarah Connor, the woman who's literally single-handedly stopping the apocalypse,
Yeah.
and a
I
mother
love her.
also.
I love that story. I love the entire trilogy. I love Linda Hamilton's depiction of it. I love her commitment to the role. Man, those
Yeah, when she's doing the
arms,
pull-ups, oh my God, I love that. I mean,
beautiful.
Terminator 2, I mean, I like the first Terminator, but Terminator 2 really, I think she came into her own. That is one of my absolute most favorite films. It's a perfect film. The perfect, it's got
It's a
so much in it.
wonderful film, and I loved Terminator 1, but the transformation in Sarah Connor from 1 to 2 was so believably the transformation of a woman who has seen the apocalypse with her own eyes and
Mm,
was determined to prevent it
mm,
for her unborn baby.
yeah.
I love it.
It's such I mean, actually Sarah Connor really inspired, she's inspired a character that I wrote about in one of my books as well. I realized I was thinking about her the whole time, and having
Wow.
been a big, just that, because, but it's, how often do you really see, especially in like a sci-fi film as well, and a very, like, on one hand it's full of fights and guns and it's like a boy film or whatever, how often do you ever see a woman so typifying? There is no length that you won't go to for your child. There's nothing you won't do. You will stop the
Absolutely.
apocalypse. You'll break out of a mental hospital. You'll be there. You do all of those things. No problem.
You'll inject whatever you need to inject into whoever you need to inject it, and you will still tease, and you will take people's lives on the way to your child.
Mm.
I absolutely love that about the way that women love, and I do find it very feminine. My ex-boyfriend once took me to see is it the Albert Memorial that Victoria had erected
Oh
for
yeah.
him? And I thought there is no more beautiful description of a woman's love. And it's a way that I really think only a woman can love someone so much that in death, she still put something together so that he would not be forgotten.
Mm.
But yeah, I think women's hearts are marvelous.
And it's so, I think, yeah, I always loved Sarah Connor. I loved that film. But I think when I became a mother also, that really stepped up for me. And I thought, I identify with that. I know where you're coming from now. I knew where you were coming from before. I admired you, but now, yes. Yeah. What a glorious tangent that was.
Thank you.
I
I
didn't know we'd
enjoyed
be talking
it.
about Sarah Connor today. I love her so much. So many great scenes in that film. Oh, right. Anyway, okay. So, Inbaal, can you tell me a bit about how does your tarot business and being a witch and it kind of intersect with your normal family life, and how does that all work for you?
Um, it's it's not something that can be surgically separated in any kind of way. I keep an eye on my children while I work. They see me at work. They are aware of what I do. To them, it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine had just a couple of months ago sent my daughter some crystals and a pack of Lenormand. She's never asked for anything, but she took her selenite wand, identical to this one,
Mm-hmm.
and put it on her ledge with her crystals on top of it. So she understood how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
My friend figured, your daughter is 10, that's old enough. I started at 10. So they're kind of incorporated into this lifestyle. They've got the owls all around them. On the other hand, they are not really religious. They don't do devotion. They're interested in the tales of the gods and goddesses in the exact same way that I was interested in their age, at
Mm.
their age, but they're not really exploring it in any kind of a religious way. So they know I tell the future, and they know that the cards are tarot cards, and they know that I talk to people to tell them what will happen. But that's kind of as much as they know. So they're assimilated into my little culture of it, but they're not practitioners. There's no way to separate it, because this is what I do. It's not just a faith, it's not just a belief system, but I think that my spirituality and my job are also kind of inseparable. So it all kind of bubbles together in the same cauldron.
Yeah. And tell us a bit about, so you're a professional tarot reader, that's what you do.
Yes.
And I mean, tell us about that. Do you do readings over Zoom at the moment? You do them by email?
I actually started doing email readings when practically no one else offered email readings. I started doing email readings in, I want to say 2002, 2001, something like that. I used to have a very, very heavy secondhand laptop, and I would sort of log on very slowly and do email readings. I took a long time to try and come up with a concept of a small reading and what would be right for it. And, should I do it as questions or general? I know it sounds like not very much that I do, my 3-question mini reading, but I spent like a good couple of months thinking up that concept because it was new. So when I left London, most of my work at the time had already transitioned from face-to-face readings, from psychic fairs, from people coming to my house, had already transitioned into mostly phone and email. So it was quite easy to leave. And since then, I feel like we've kind of come full circle, because we can do face-to-face readings again on a screen. So the face-to-face element is back again, which is lovely, because it's a nicer connection. Phone readings and email readings, in my experience, will give you the exact same information, but it's much harder work for the reader, which is fine. If you're wanting to book, don't worry, make me sweat. But for me, it's so nice to see a face and to be able to interact and to really kind of see the immediate response. Seeing relief in somebody's eyes is such a trip. Or seeing someone laugh when something familiar comes up in the cards is such a joy. But yeah, I primarily work by email. When I left London, I immediately, like within 14 days, had my first child, who then breastfed for a year solid, like solid. And by the time she finished, I was soon pregnant again, and again and again. So working by email, sometimes at 2 a.m., sometimes at 11, in the morning, when the baby has finally decided to nap off my lap, was very, very handy. So I kept developing the email readings. Now that they're all physically in a physical school ish, I mean, the small one, it's just really nursery, but they're all out of the house, I come back from dropping all of them off, and then I do email readings, some readings on social media, and then I do phone readings, video readings in the evenings, and very, very late at night, I always sort of keep a little hour to allow for US clients because of the time difference.
Okay, right.
So my 11 p.m. is about 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. in different places in the United States. So for the few times a week that I need to use it, I know that little time slot is there.
Yeah, I know you're a night owl. You're often up late working, because you've got the kid there if they're at school, but then they're home, and then you're being mum all day and doing mum life stuff, which for kids is quite a lot. Quite busy.
Well, I think it probably takes just as long to, to cook one lot of pasta as it does four. But when you've got four, you never know which one is going to say that this pasta stinks and I'm not eating it. You've got, four times as much chance to be stuck there for an hour instead of 15 minutes, which is a lot of fun. And it's just so great to sort of see another mum, because the first thing that went with the pandemic was mummy group, was toddler
Yeah.
group,
Oh
which is
gosh. Yeah.
where you clutch on to a mug of tea and a little shred of sanity. So that's gone.
Yeah. For the
But
grown-ups.
yeah, I'm a night owl by nature, but I also wake up at 6:30 because children. So at the moment, and for the past 10 years, and for the coming 10 years, I'm doing my best, but I have fantasies about naps that I will have in the future.
Oh, yeah.
And about, maybe having a dinner that's not setting a good example, maybe having a dinner that is just Doritos and dips, and maybe picking up a book and finishing it,
Oh,
stuff like
bless
that. I
you.
have fantasies, and I know there is no fate, but what we make for ourselves, it will come one day.
Yeah,
It'll come.
you will. Oh, bless you. Oh, um, I don't know what. Sorry, momentarily didn't know what to say there, apart from oh, I wish I could
Thank you.
come and help.
Thank you.
Um,
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the
oh,
empathy. Thank you.
yeah. I God, I've only got one, and I know what that's like. So yeah, I've got nothing but admiration for people with more than one child.
Thank you. It's really not that massive of a difference,
Well, people
because
say that, but I don't really believe that.
with one, you've got to be switched on all the time because you're also entertainment. With
That's
four,
true. Yeah.
your requirement to entertain is very much diminished. As long as your requirement in terms of entertainment is making sure there's no sharp objects, because entertainment is fighting with each other for
Right.
them.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
there's no sharp objects and they're still too small to cause any real damage to one another, you can get on and work in the background.
There's
Ish.
that. The ish,
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah. I have a friend who has four locally, and she has when they're all home together, she has a thing sometimes where she says, "I don't want you to come and get me unless there's blood." That's the rule. I don't think it works, but that's
No,
yeah.
it doesn't, because just sort of yelling out mama is such a winning card sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not going to be like you can't not go, you know.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, because the one time you won't go, there will be blood, and then you'll be sorry.
Yeah, I know. Oh dear, bless them. Okay, what else was I going to ask you? Okay, well, I think the last thing I wanted to ask is for people watching, is there like maybe a book or a website or something that you would, apart from Terminator 2, if you haven't watched, then you should watch that. Recommend to people as maybe
I
something for
Do you know,
tarot or
I
something?
was going to I was going to go with, just get anything from Avalonia Books, which I think is one, not the only one, but one of the main publishers that are by witches, for witches, and everything there is, very, very clearly aimed at magical folk. But I'm going to go with that. But
Mm.
also, if we're looking at movies, watch The Craft. I am telling you, not so much the obvious depiction of glamour, but yes, the kind of imaginary depiction of glamour also works. But for me, first of all, in the Craft, the leading lady, I know she's not officially the leader, but the leader of the coven, Nancy, is played by an actual Wiccan who was consulted on the script. So if a lot of stuff there feels eerily familiar when you're a practitioner, that's why. And I adore the craft. First of all, because we are the weirdos. Secondly, for the music and the 90s fashions.
Yeah.
But thirdly, and perhaps most logically importantly, it is a story of warning. Don't take your magic into dark places. You want to practice magic? Work on yourself first. Get that shadow work done. Figure out why you feel things, why you do things. Become a bit more of a calm and happy person, because it's not just Nancy going crazy, but it's Robin and the snakes and how her phobias take over, and the more magical and powerful she becomes, the more complex things are for her. But yeah, for me, the craft is a great start in terms of, in the genre of the coming of age magic movies. It's the one that that kind of rings the most true. But yeah, also Avalonia. And you know, if you need to figure out like the sort the wheat from the chaff, come to me. I get questions like that all the time, and I don't mind answering. If something feels a bit too commercial and fluffy to you, it probably is. And if something feels super genuine but not your bag, that's also all right. Don't go there. If you feel unsafe, get out, ring someone. We are now in a very privileged, technologically phase in the world where you don't have to follow anyone, and where you can take pictures and record anyone who is being unsafe towards you. Do it, use it, and come to witches that you know and witches that you trust for, you know, for personal advice. We're happy to help.
Yeah. Oh, that's really nice. And I'm going to put your website underneath the video, of course.
Thank
And
you.
so as well as just good advice, you're also available for readings and mentoring, as you said at the beginning. So you teach people how to read the cards, but you also kind of mentor people who already read and are setting up their business, which is a really nice thing, I think, because probably lots of people are doing that at the moment, I'm guessing.
There's a lot of people, and the mentoring can cover the setting up of the business, or just working on your confidence, or how to make your readings from a, you know, a whole intuitive mess into a tidy, functional, professional reading. Really, whichever direction you want it. I thought it's probably a good moment to put my 20 years, 21 years of full-time reading to good use.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you
Thank you.
so much. This has been such a great chat.
You're still high on the Sarah Connor vibes, aren't you?
So I'm literally giddy. That's made my day. That's made my day.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to have to watch it. Okay, Inbaal, thank you so much. It's lovely to see you as always.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.